Welcome to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast, where world-changing spiritual entrepreneurs come to deeply awaken the power within to bring forth their greatest purpose, to create massive awakened impact for millions of souls around the planet, while enjoying being in tune with all life and real wealth in all aspects of their lives. I'm your host, Daniel John Hanneman. Hello, everybody. Here we are. I'm here with beautiful being Adri Kyser. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Okay. Yeah, we have incredible things to share with you today. After all, I mean, there's not a better time to be focused on going from the sense of being limited to limitless. And we have some incredible stories of we can share with you personally and also with others where you really can't shift from any sense of limitation you have, experiencing more of your limitless nature and conquering that self-doubt and gaining unstoppable confidence in the midst of anything, I feel. And then we'll talk more about that in a moment. Now, I just want to share with you about Adri because she's amazing. You ought to know more about her. Adri Kyser is an international wellness expert, transformational coach, energy alchemist who has spent the past 16 years helping highly driven men and women get out of their own way. So we have probably a number of the people like that here, utilize their unique skills and build unstoppable confidence to succeed in life and business. Using her enlightened alchemy TM method, she has helped over 4,500 men and women worldwide achieve everything from reduced pain and stress to increased productivity and better health. Rather than drawing from only one modality, her extensive list of certifications and background, including NLP, yoga, and Ayurveda, I'm having a hard time talking here today, allow her to create a customized wellness experience for clients. As a brand ambassador, she worked with Athleta and Larabar. Love those Laura bars. Okay. Mm-hmm. When she's not busy hosting retreats around the globe in exotic locations that we've talked about this last time we met. Exotic locations like Bali, Greece, and Peru. She is being featured on iHeartRadio, Amazon Prime's The Focus, Thrive Global, and Authority Magazine, etc. She's the co-author of the best-selling book, Overcoming Adversity in Entrepreneurship. Wow, what amazing things you've been up to, and I'm so grateful to have you here.
Thank you. I'm excited to have a conversation with you and hopefully inspire others listening as well.
So now, we were talking before the show, and there's a lot of things that, listen, I don't know why I'm guided to bring this up. I mean, because the topic's going limited to limitless, it's so interesting. I think everybody can relate to what I'm going to say. So, I mean, I can feel so enlightened. I can feel so connected. I can feel so joyful. I can feel so unstoppable. I can have my girls will tell you, they'll be the first ones to tell you that overall, they'll say, Dad has like extreme self-confidence, extreme, and all the successes I've had and everything. But I can say, like, I think the thing that maybe again the mind doesn't understand. I must say the mind doesn't understand is this is an energetic journey that continues. And the minute the mind thinks like, oh, I'm in limitlessness now, I'm just so invincible now, and yeah, it may last for a long time, but all of a sudden, like, something comes up in life, right? Like, oh my God, this is crushing me. I feel depressed. I don't even know if I want to live anymore. Or something comes up, and the shift hits the fan. I feel always to take us to our next level of whatever, right? So, but I mean, I bring that up just because I experience, regular challenges in life. I mean, I don't suffer with them maybe the way I used to, but we are always running into challenges. And I'd love for you to share, I mean, your own experience. I think these personal stories are so powerful. And you shared yours with me, before of, because people will say, well, I got health issues you don't understand. And, you know, I've had so many people on have had huge health issues and move through those now. And I'm like, don't give me that. It's, you can move through that. It's okay. Or relate, no, but relationship, but my past abuse, but whatever it is, people, it is huge. It is huge to move through. And it can be moved through. We can become limitless no matter what it is we've got going on. So I'd love for you to share more about that. I mean, tell us first your story, and then we'll get into maybe some of the stories, you know, obviously anonymous stories of what you've seen for others, but how have you moved from a sense of being very limited earlier in your life, from what I remember, to feeling increasingly limitless through your life? Talk to us about that.
Yeah, you know, since I was a little girl, I always wanted to make a difference in people's life. You know, it was something like within me. It's like there was a seed that was born with me, and it was this urgent need to do it. And I thought that meant becoming a lawyer, because I wanted to be the voice for the people that wasn't the underdog, people that wasn't heard, right? Especially because for me as a child, I had to overcome my set of challenges, like being abused as a child, being told I wasn't good enough, being made fun of, being beat up by my aunt, you know, growing up in a country that's very limited. I'm from Venezuela, so in Latin American countries, third world countries that have limited resources, limited income, so limitation was all around me. And I think that was part of my driver for me. Instead of saying, poor me, because my aunt called me names or beat me up, now I cannot do this. My coping mechanism was the opposite. My coping mechanism was to push harder, try harder, bury all the stuff deep inside, trying to prove to myself and others that I was good enough, because it didn't matter how much success I have achieved in my life. It didn't matter I have traveled the world teaching yoga, wellness, Ayurveda, that I speak in conference and stuff. All I could hear was, you're not good enough. You're not good enough. And I remember clearly, you know, I in my first teacher training for yoga, like 16 years ago, this teacher walks into a room and announces to the class, hey guys, I have this amazing opportunity that you can go and teach at this incredible location. If you're interested, just come and talk to me. I remember listening and in my head, like, no, you're not good enough. You're not ready for this. But there was another like part of me. It's like, you know what, if no, now, when? So I gathered all the strength I could gather to go and approach her and just simply ask, you know, hey, what is this about? And she goes and says, oh no, this is not for you. This is more for someone like so and so and so. So all I could hear was, you're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're not talented enough. You don't speak well enough. You don't teach well enough. All this, you're not good enough. Which again, this all no, you're not good enough kept me in this emotional prison, the emotional prison that, you know, that feeds your inner critic, that voice that says, that compares you to everybody else, that points out all your shortcomings, that inner critic that does your ability for growth, success, and even feeds your self-sabotaging behavior, that limiting voice or that inner critic that keeps you playing small. And to me, that inner critic kept me in this emotional prison that led to so much pain that caused me chronic pain for over a decade, pain that caused me friendships, because all I did was push harder, try harder, and keep everybody at a distance to keep me safe. And just like you and I'm sure everybody listening has experienced some type of pain in their life, pain from heartbreak, loss, disappointment, failure, or even abuse. And what you and I have in common is that we cope with pain the best way we can with the tools we have at any given time. For some people, it's eating away their feelings, turning to food, hoping that it will fill the void that they might be feeling. For some other people, it's waking up in the middle of the night, worrying, stressing about things, or even replaying, you know, stuff that happens over and over, or planning the response to an event that hasn't even happened yet. So as I mentioned before, for me, it was bearing all these emotions and memories and pushing myself harder, which led to the chronic pain. And even though I tried all these conventional treatments to help me heal from my chronic back pain, it was only temporary. And that's the moment when I realized that if I wanted long-lasting results, I had to address not just the physical pain, but I had to address the mental and emotional aspects of myself because I was not ready to live the rest of my life taking medication like I was eating candy. I never been a big, uh, I don't take medications, period, unless it's necessary. So I wanted to take charge of my health. And that's when my journey into holistic wellness happened. That's when I went from limited to limitless. It wasn't overnight, but it took me to make the decision to say, hey, if you want to really see the changes, if you want to be completely healed, you need to do your inner work. And for the past 16 years, I have helped over 4,500 men and women worldwide step out of their own way. Stop, I've helped them release anything from relief from pain to increase confidence, to increase productivity and energy, to reduce stress. Why? Because we all know what we want, but oftentimes we get in our own way. Oftentimes it's this mindset that keeps us playing small. When you hear the voice like, are you serious? You're not ready for this. Look, you're not like so-and-so. So that's learning to manage our inner critic. And during this process of my self-healing, because I'm a big proponent of teaching and sharing, walking the talk. What I share with you guys, what I share with my clients are stuff I did on myself. I work with myself and with clients. So during this process, I found 4 key components to long-lasting health, happiness, and fulfillment. And they are: number 1, physical health, how you take care of your body. Number 2, mental wellness, how you perceive the world. Number 3, emotional intelligence, how you experience the world. And number 4, spiritual connection, how you feed your soul. So as I'm saying this, notice if there are specific areas in your life that you're like, oh yeah, I have my health down, but then what is your mindset? How you're feeding your soul. So these 4 components work together, because when we concentrate only on one, the other 2 not necessarily always fall in place. Sometimes they do, but we are holistic beings. We're multidimensional beings. So what I like to do when working with clients, whether it's one-on-one or group coaching, is really to work holistically, mind, body, emotion, and spirit, because that will give you the long-lasting results that you need. So when you're asking like, what is it? Why one day I feel like I'm at the top of the world? I have the confidence. I have it all. I'm riding high, and all of a sudden something happens, and then I'm stuck in a hole. It's because our minds are hardwired. Our brain is hardwired towards the negative. Let me show you or give you an example. Let's say you have 10 experiences today. 5 of them were amazing. 4 were neutral. 1 is negative. I guarantee you that before you go to bed tonight, and first thing when you wake up in the morning, you're going to be thinking about that negative experience. Or like if somebody leaves you a review, or some people can come and compliment you all day, and then comes one person and says, really, that shirt, ooh, or you gain an extra weight or extra pounds or something. You're going to think about that all the time. So because it's part of how we're hardwired, that doesn't mean that that's the way that's going to be for the rest of your life. It takes time, it takes hard work, it takes dedication to really change the narrative of your story. So for me, being abused as a child, there was a time where I couldn't talk about the abuse. There was a time I didn't even remember the abuse. I buried it completely. I can tell you the trigger, the moment, my aha moment was when I was playing with my son. He was about 7 or 8 years old, about the same age I was when I was being beat up. I was playing with him, and something got triggered that the memory started flooding my mind. And in that moment, my entire back locked down. I mean, it was just like, I knew right there, memories, my back pain increased, that's it. So it wasn't easy. There were times I couldn't talk about the abuse without crying, being angry, or having a knot in my throat. Now, today, I can tell you this because I worked on myself. I worked on forgiving myself, forgiving my aunt, forgiving the time. Do I say it's okay that she beat me up? No, I'm just taking forgiveness gave me the power, or the power to come back and say, that doesn't define me anymore. I'm not connected to the past experience anymore. I'm not willing to be attached to that pain anymore. So when we decide to do our personal work and really roll up our sleeves and be like, yes, it may not be easy, but it's necessary. Another example, 10 years of chronic back pain. Do I want it back? No. Am I grateful for it? Yes. Why? Because it taught me so much. It led me to who I am, to be the person I am today. It led me to be doing what I'm doing today because it was the need to heal myself from the chronic pain, which I didn't. It was very physical, but the root cause was emotional. So that's right there, that part of when you say, why am I riding high today? And then something happens and I go to the lowest of lowest, is because we have experiences in our past that keep playing in the background and we don't even know they're playing in the background. And those limiting beliefs lead to the same actions, same responses, same emotions, even when we know better. So taking things today, you know what? I'm tired of experiencing A, B, or C, or D. Let me do something about it. And then really facing and doing your work and doing your inner work and facing those fears, facing those struggles and taking responsibility instead of blaming others. That's when things begin to shift. Does it happen overnight? No. But that's why you then also surround yourself with the right people, the right guidance to help you get there.
Yeah, I mean, the energy piece of that last thing you said is really important. Is bringing the right things, consciously being aware of what you're allowing into your awareness and your consciousness and your attention. I mean, we're so loose with our attention sometimes. Most of us, I would say, these days, because now we have the phones and the apps and everything. We're just constantly giving our attention away, all kinds of things that might be good sometimes, right? And then maybe not so good. So, but to be able to have more discernment. Getting back to what you were saying though, with everything, you shared a lot. You're like me, sometimes I share a lot all at once. That's me too. So, but yeah, I mean, yeah, no wonder we're talking today. I mean, like, so, because you do strike me as that person too, like, you get rolling, your energy is unstoppable, right? And then something comes up, that tape or whatever comes up, and you're like, oh man, oh man, I'm the worst, or whatever the idea will come up, whatever the ideas are. Is the world so unfair, or what? It could be like bizarre. You might not even believe it. Like for me, it's like whatever the thought might come up. I mean, for the most part, I pretty much just don't believe it anymore, right? Whatever, it's just a thought, It's just like, oh, okay, that came up. Wonder why that's coming up, and then we can investigate. But sometimes, we can all get caught up in it, for whatever amount of time at times.
Right.
Um,
One thing I want to mention about that, because that's very key and very important. So one of the things I when working with my clients, there's one particular client, she emailed me a while back and said, hey, Adri, why do I continue to do the same things even when I know better? And this is what I call being stuck in a hamster wheel, because due to limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs are thoughts, negative thoughts that you continue to think over and over and over. You begin to believe them, and those beliefs lead to emotions, and those emotions lead to how you feel. And according to how you feel, either you act or don't act, right? So limiting beliefs lead to the same emotions, to behavior or lack of behavior or action. So when we're talking about limiting beliefs, one of the important things is, well, before I go there, one of the most common limiting beliefs is, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy. If I ask somebody right now, do you think you're deserving of love? 50% of the people will say yes, or 50% of the people will say no. Or do you think you deserve more money than you're getting? A lot of people want to say yes, but deep inside, they don't feel that they deserve more money. So yes, they're saying it from the outside, like they're saying yes without believing it. And the key part is believing. So sometimes we don't even know we have these limiting beliefs running in the background until we become aware of them. So how can we become aware of them? Simple. This is something that everybody listening can do right away. Start a journal practice. And when I say this, some of the people are like, yes, I journal all the time. And other people say, oh no. But why do I say this? Because when you journal, whether it's every day, every other day, it doesn't matter, but make sure you journal consistently. You can go back once a week or every 2 weeks or once a month and read what you've been writing about. That will give you a clue of what you're thinking and believing. Because on average, a human being has about 70,000 thoughts per day, yet only 10% of those are original thoughts, meaning 90% are repetitions of the thoughts we had the day before, the month before, the year before, 5 years before, etc. So when you notice, and because it's so hard for us to keep track of every thought that we have, how we can begin to pay attention, are we thinking positive thoughts or negative thoughts? Simply notice how you feel. Positive thoughts leads to happy feelings. Negative thoughts lead to negative feelings. So when you're journaling, and if you're journaling every day and you're complaining about the same issue over and over and over, and you don't realize that you're doing it until you go back and revise it, that gives you awareness. And awareness is key, because you cannot change something you don't know that needs changing. It's like being in a room that's dirty and messy, but because the lights are out, you don't see the mess, you don't see the dirt. Awareness means turning on the light and be like, oh man, this is dirty and messy, let me start cleaning up, right? So another thing about journaling, because it has been scientifically proven, that when you journal every day, it begins to train your brain to see the positive. Remember, I told you your brain is hardwired towards seeing the negative. So when you start journaling, and you start journaling purposely and say, okay, I'm grateful for, you can set a gratitude journal. That trains your brain to see the positive. It also has been proven to boost your self-esteem and self-worth. It has been proven to improve a positive outlook in life. So journaling is, as simple as it is very powerful. Another thing I did is I created a free download called From Limited to Limitless, Find Your Playbook, Find Your Bliss Playbook. And I created this workbook. It's super simple, it's easy for my clients. And all it is just a couple of exercises to help you become aware of what are some of your limiting beliefs. Again, many people don't know they have them. So how can we change something if we don't know we have these limiting beliefs? So this is super easy. You can download it. It's free. I believe you have the link already. So anybody listening now can get access to the ebook. So that way you can be like, okay, I want more money in my life, but you know what? One of my limiting beliefs is I don't have enough money, or I grew up in poverty. How many of you have heard money doesn't grow in trees, right? Or like, don't buy that, it's too expensive. Well, it's all about perspective, because for somebody, a book that's worth, I don't know, that's valued $20, that's super cheap. For somebody else, $20 for a book is extremely expensive. So it's all about perspective. About where they are. The book is worth whatever it's worth. Some people say it's valuable, some people say it's not. So it's working on your mindset and your belief system that's really going to help you go from limited to limitless. We can do, I like to have this equation of 80-20. 80% is your mindset and your belief, 20% is action. I'm not gonna sit here and say to you, you can sit on the couch, eat bonbons all day, and think I'm gonna be rich and multimillionaire in the next month if you never leave the couch, if you never do anything about it. But also you can be a working bee, work your tail off until it falls off, and still be poor because your belief system is not there. So mindset is important, and it's so important to be surrounded by the right people, the right guidance, the right coaches, the right mentors, the right everything, because otherwise you're going to be stuck. Another thing, this client of mine, when she started doing the journaling work and she did the PDF and stuff, she was able to see patterns. And within, I think it was 2 months, within the 2-month window, she was able to set healthy boundaries, both at work and personal life. And she started to improve her self-esteem because she realized the areas she needed to change, right? So it takes action. And one of the things that she mentioned was that she's been going through therapy for a long time, which is fine. Going through therapy is great. But sometimes talk therapy keeps you stuck because you're talking about what's wrong. You keep talking about the same problem over and over and over. So that's why, for me, the holistic approach is like, yes, let's talk about the problems and find the solutions, but then let's not just concentrate on the problem. Let's concentrate on the bigger spectrum, finding the root cause, healing the root cause, moving your body. Because when we're talking about healing and energy work, especially if you have like in my case, back pain, like you mentioned, you had back pain too. If I wasn't practicing yoga, if I wasn't moving my body, all the healing I was doing at the internal level had no outlet. So I had to really do some type of movement and exercise to help me release all that pent up emotions. Because guess what, guys? Emotions that you don't process and digest and let go, they get buried in your tissue, in your muscles, in your fascia. And it's a matter of time before they come up to the surface or begin to send that red light saying, hey, pay attention to me. Something's really wrong here. You haven't been addressing this issue for the past 15 years and it's time. That's why now I'm hurting. That's why now I'm giving you this feedback. So pain is not your enemy. Pain can be your biggest teacher, your biggest ally, if you let it be, if you're willing to go deeper into, if you're willing to go beyond the physical pain and say, why is this coming up again? Why is this coming up for the first time? Or like you even mentioned, sometimes you're doing your stuff and a thought comes in and you're like, oh, why is this again here? Well, maybe you did some work, but you didn't get to the root of it. So now it's coming back to be like, hey, remember me? Or how I like to call it sometimes, it's a test. It's like, it's to prove and see, have you really let go of this? Have you really changed this pattern within you? Because as human beings, we're creatures of habit. So we're gonna always take the path of least resistance. We're always gonna go back to the known, even when it's uncomfortable and painful. So sometimes these thoughts or these experiences pop up out of nowhere to see like, how are you really committed to letting go of that old version and committed to this new version you've been working on? So there's a distinction between the two of you, between the two of them, and it's up to you to figure out, am I gonna go back to the old, even though I hate it and it's painful, or I'm gonna really commit to moving forward and knowing where the mindset is playing a role in that direction to either say, hey, you need to do more work in this area, or, hey, are you really committed? I'm just testing you and see which way you're gonna go.
Right, right. Right, yeah, yeah, absolutely. Those things come up for review on a regular basis, don't they? So, and I feel like so many people have told me, but I've done all the work. I got to the root, and it was gone. And then, 15 years later, there it is again. So, I actually believe that you know, I do know some people claim they have psychological deaths, like an awakening, like with spiritually, like, oh no, I don't have, I have no more suffering. And then they'll say, like I had one guest that she says, I have challenges, but I don't have suffering. I kind of understand that. I can kind of relate to that. Like that's sort of how I feel a lot of times. I'm like, okay, my challenge is whatever right now, but I'm not adding fuel to the fire by going on and telling stories about it. So, so you talked about with mindset, and there's a lot that we talk about with mindset, right? I think that I would even say, this on this show, sometimes I like to stretch the conversation so it could really evolve things. So I'm just going to say, like, mindset is, some people would say mindset's everything, almost like, almost everything. And I like to stretch the conversation because I know you'll resonate with it anyway. But if we even get beyond like the idea of mindset, and we get to more your connection, your spiritual connection. And because again, some people say they've had psychological death, right? So, okay, if I were to go to the most spiritually enlightened person, I'm just telling you the way it would go because I know a few people like that. So the more spiritually enlightened people on the planet, I go to them, I say, so how's your mindset today? Whoever Eckhart Tolle, it'd be like, mindset. You even ask them, do you love yourself? I don't know. So, like it just doesn't even resonate for them. So I was wondering about that because I feel mindset is so important for people that are not in that space already, right? So I feel mindset to me, I'm just having a conversation with you, but I'm like, I think mindset's part of, because we're all about like full waking up on this show ultimately. It's like, so we're full and waking up. we need some of that mindset. We need to work through this stuff that you're talking about. And then the tipping point can happen potentially then for people to get to that truer essential nature of awakening where, you know, yeah, maybe there's not even a sense of mindset anymore, but that's a next level thing. Um, so I was wondering about that because I think some of us are some of the people listening are probably like me, like, I just want to go to enlightenment. All this mindset stuff, I've been doing it for decades. I've had enough of it. And it comes back. So I was looking for your perspective because a lot of people say that I've already done tons of mindset. I got to the root. It's still here. I just want to wake up. I don't want to quit suffering. I want to quit having the problems I have, whatever it is, you know, money, relationships, health, etc. So I was wondering if we could address the spiritual component, the waking up aspect, because I know you do. So what's your perspective on this? The mindset versus like, hey, the stillness and the deeper connection with source, the guidance, the angels, whatever, and all that. I'd love to hear what your perspective is on that.
So the mind, body, emotions, and spirit are connected, right?
Yes.
So one affects the other.
Yes.
So yes, we will be working on mindset all we want, but if we're not taking care of our bodies, if we're not feeding our soul, all the mindset work is almost like having a bar stool with 3 legs. You know what I mean? So that's why I always say we have to work as a whole. So if you are only concentrating on your mindset, but you're not exercising, you're not eating well, you're not taking care of your vehicle, your physical body, there's only so much you can do. So when I work with the enlightened alchemy method, I start always with building a strong foundation, which is the physical body. Why? Because is the most tangible thing, is where you're going to see results the fastest, is the foundation. We cannot think about enlightenment, we cannot think about spirit if we are not having our basic human needs met, which are having a roof over our head, having financial stability, having a sense of community, love, and support. So if you are in a fight and flight response, which is when you are under stress, if you are struggling financially, etc., it's really hard to find enlightenment when you're in survival mechanism. So there's a reason why I personally believe that in order to move up the ladder in that personal growth and spiritual work, we have to start with the foundation. We cannot work to enlightenment without having a healthy body. So think of it like if you have a glass that only holds 8 ounces of liquid, you cannot pour 16 ounces or 24 ounces of liquid into the glass unless you begin to build a larger container. So in order for you to become spiritually awakened, in order for you to have these moments, there has to be some type of foundation happening. For some people, yes, like one day they got into an accident, they had a near-death experience, and they became enlightened and everything changes. Yes, that can happen. But that's like how many times with the crowd, you know what I mean? So I don't know the odds, but let's say that's 1 out of 1,000 people or 1 out of 1 million people. I don't know the odds, but let's put an example like that. Now for the rest of us, we have to again build a strong foundation. For me, it meant I had to start practicing yoga. I had to start breathing. I had to practice self-love. I had to practice forgiveness. I had to let go of some baggage in order for more light to come in. And when I'm talking about light, I'm talking about this spirit, this guidance, the insight, the wisdom, right? So coming back to the physical part, the building the foundation, the physical wellness, I highly recommend to everybody to please take care of your body. Many people say, you hear the word self-care so much that is losing its power. But self-care is not a luxury, it's actually a necessity. When you take care of yourself, when you spend 5 minutes to give thanks, 5 minutes to, I don't know, get your hair done or to brush your teeth, to shower, to get whatever it is that makes you feel good, it really begins to change your vibration. And as you vibrate, you attract, right? As you increase your vibration, higher energies come in. So one of the things that happens in today's world is that we are in a constant state of stress, from the moment the alarm goes off in the morning to meeting deadlines, to dealing with the kids and homework, or responding to emails, all these different scenes. And when we're in this high state of alert, we enter this fight or flight response, which is a survival mechanism. And what happens is all the body functions that are not needed for survival get shut down. And that includes restoration, digestive system, elimination system, cleaning your body, all these different things, because your body only focuses like, hey, you either have to fight or flee in order to survive. And when we are in this high state of alert, we're under stress, and we all know stress is the #1 cause of the disease. Stress leads to heart disease, strokes, inflammation, that leads to pain, all this different stuff. So a couple of things that people can do right away. I always like to give takeaways for the physical body, and then we can move towards the lighter for the spiritual, is I start my morning with what I call morning elixir. A morning elixir is a warm cup of water with half of a lemon or full fresh lemon juice squeezed into the warm water, and a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. I like the one that's organic and it's called With the Mother. Why? Because this helps to, personally, it gives me 5 minutes of self-care. It's a moment where I drink that morning elixir and I know I'm setting up myself for success for the day, but also activates your digestive system, that elimination system, you balance your pH. So that's something that everybody can do as a self-care practice. Number 2, take probiotics. People don't realize that our immune system begins at the gut, and our mood also, the serotonin, which hormones that relates to the mood, also produced in the gut. So when you have probiotics, you're setting yourself up for success. And not all probiotics are equal. You have to take the probiotics that are double capsulated and time release. Tablets or liquid probiotics, you think you're taking this large amount of probiotics, but once they hit the stomach acid, they die. So you want the time release, so it really gets into the IG tract, and then you can get the benefits of the probiotics. And last but not least, move your body. Whatever that means to you, going out for a walk, running, practicing yoga. I'm partial to yoga because yoga then comes by the mindfulness, the spirituality, the physical movement. So do something that helps you really move your body, because when you're working on your mindset, when you're working on releasing negative emotions, as I mentioned previously, you have to move your body so it has an outlet. Otherwise, it just kind of moves around and then finds another area to sit, or comes back to the areas where where it's been stored for a long time. So once you have a strong foundation, when you're like, you know what, I'm taking care of myself, I'm eating, I'm having healthy relationships, I walked away or let go of relationships that are toxic, etc. I'm working on my mindset, let's work on the spiritual aspect. So there's something that people don't realize. Energy moves in many directions. Our bodies have 7 main chakras, but also have over 72,000 energy channels called nadis, where energy flows. So we're going to concentrate on the 4 movements of energy right now. So we have energy that moves downward. That's the energy of manifestation. It's like when you have an idea, or when you have this aha moment, when your intuition says, hey, do this. That's spirit guiding you. That's your intuition telling you, right? So when you have that idea, that insight, and you take action, then manifest into reality. Then we have the energy that moves from down up. That's the journey that a lot of us are on, the journey of liberation, where we want to go from an individual into the collective, where we want to connect with spirit, where we want to connect with the divine. And then we have energy that moves horizontally, in and out, and that's our interaction with the external world. So when we're working on enlightenment, that means we're trying to move our energy from the I, the individualistic view that we have, into the collective, into the universal love, the expansion. We have to make sure that as we process or we move that energy through the channels and chakras, etc., we're doing a step-by-step process. Why? Because as I mentioned before, when you start working in your body and your mindset, it's almost like building your container from an 8-ounce glass of liquid to a 16, maybe a 24, and maybe 32 and so forth. So it's a process. So when people are like, if you go to the enlightened people, it's like, hey, how's your mindset today? Do you love your body? They already done that process. And now they're in a different state where there's no separation of loving my body and loving my brother or sister or loving God, because now they see that's one. Also, they've been doing this work for a long time. So it's almost like, for you right now, if I say, hey, can you walk to your fridge? You don't go like right foot forward, left foot forward, right foot forward. You simply walk because you've been walking all of your life, right? So this is something that they've done a lot. So one of the things, because I see this a lot in my clients in the yoga community and spiritual communities, like people compare themselves to others, right? And comparison is a thief of joy. If you want to feel horrible about yourself, begin to compare yourself to other people. We're individuals. Our journeys are very unique. We may have similarities. You know, you and I have back pain, but the root cause of your back pain was very different than my root cause of my back pain. Or even let's say that we both were abused as children. The way we respond there, the interactions we have with the abuser or whatever, are very different, are very unique, because we are unique beings. So our lessons, our journeys are very different as well. They can have similarities, but they're different. So when it comes to spirituality, just begin to, again, address my body and emotion. You cannot be like, I'm just gonna work on meditating every day for 5 hours a day. Well, guess what? Yoga movements, yoga practices, yoga exercises are preparations to the body so you can sit for a while, so you can meditate. Yeah. So you cannot run a marathon. So the marathon or Ironman, which is like doing all these 3 different things, right? You cannot sign up for Ironman after you've been a couch potato for 10 years. You have to start maybe walking, maybe you get a trainer, maybe you start building up to that Ironman. So that's the spiritual journey as well. So it's like, hey, what can I do to start preparing myself? Well, let's start by releasing the baggage. Let's start by changing the narrative of our story. Let's start by becoming aware of the limiting beliefs. Let's start by feeding our bodies, our mind and spirit, positivity. Let's start by surrounding ourselves with positive people and people that challenge us to become better. Let's start by taking responsibility, because right now we're in a society which is a cancellation society, right? You don't think the same way I do, we're no longer friends. Or we want instant gratification. We want to point fingers. Oh, I'm stuck in this because that person did that. So when we take responsibility and says, hey, my success, my happiness, my health is only up to me, then that becomes such a powerful tool and you become unstoppable, because now you're taking your power back and now you make the decisions based on where you want to be, who you are at this moment, where you're heading and where you're meant to be going and doing. So we all have right here, right now, all of us have a purpose and mission in life. There are a million doctors, there are a million lawyers, there are a million teachers, and a million of everything. But your people are coming to you because of you. Only you can do what you do the way you do it. Only you have your voice. Only you have your fingerprints. Only you have the mission you're meant to be doing. So it is up to you to step up to the challenge and be like, yes, you know what? I see my fears. I see my negative beliefs stopping me. So let me do something about it instead of just, waiting.
I think, so I'm glad I brought that whole thing up, because look at what we unpacked. You had a lot to share there. So I feel like that, if you think about just the people that a lot of people would know, like Eckhart Tolle or Byron Katie, or, like those are 2 examples. They make it sound like there was no process, right? So they make it sound like I was just there, I was homeless, I was in total depression, and then the I am came through, and I just was, and everything unfolded. And there is truth to that. I'm sure that happened for them. And
some of them, but there was a process. There's always a process.
Yeah, there was a process. Yeah, I agree. That's what I'm getting to. I agree. There was a process that unfolded, even if it happened spontaneously in those cases, where it still needed to be even integrated and digested over time, even in those cases. So, because I think, some people could be possibly, yeah, I think most of the people listening maybe are more hard driving people. So they're just trying to make everything happen. So trying to control it, right? But there's also the spiritual people listening that are the opposite. They're like, no, my enlightenment will just happen. I'm just waiting. Uh, Eventually, we'll get through this dark age. It seems to be unfolding right now. We'll get to the other side. We're going to go to the Aquarian age. Everything's going to be good. and 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 so that's not the approach either. So, and everybody's journey is absolutely different. And I love that you brought that up. Like for me, like my purpose, I have to teach and talk about money because I've got a big journey with money. For other people, this has nothing to do with their purpose and their awakening. So everyone's unique. So I love that you touched on that and everything. You shared a lot. So I mean, absolutely, and you're right. As we build up, if we're weak in one of those areas you talked about, that's absolutely true. Like I was building myself spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. And for a while, as I was having a family, I let the physical go. And that's when the back pain started. And then I had to build up my body. So I had to build up the physical aspect of my life more so. I mean, I let it go a lot compared to, what I had done in the past. So it's like, okay, you put on extra weight, you're weak basically in your body. You're not really that strong anymore. I was always like, hey, I did all that working out before. I'm sure I still got some of that in there. That's so funny. But I did it definitely checked out there for a while. But I came back in and the body spoke to me. You're sitting too much. You got these emotional things to deal with as well. You haven't dealt with, it starts screaming at you and you can't ignore it anymore. Like, I remember the first time I went to a chiropractor after the first episode I had with my back. He's there adjusting me. He says, and now I suppose you'll listen. And he's cracking me this way and that way. I'm like, yes, I'll listen, please. I don't want to feel all this pain anymore. I want to be able to move and not be hunched over because my back hurts. I can't even hardly straighten my back and all the things that, some of us have gone through with that stuff. But yeah, you're right. It was such an exquisite journey, even because we could see it much more so, of course, later, right? We're saying, man, that was an amazing journey I went through, and look at what I've gained. And I wouldn't be, who I am today without having experienced the things I've dealt with. So if you're dealing with a sense of limitation or the issues that we deal with, instead of judging yourself or comparing yourself to others, it's like, just realize, I mean, this is your journey. I mean, at some level you did sign up for it, however you want to look at it. At some level you did. And just to get over that and like, okay, you're here. And now you have a choice to use the tools that Adri is talking about today. You've got your physical, your mental, your emotional, all this stuff. Get your mindset. Your mindset, absolutely. If you haven't gone up lots of levels in your frequency and your spiritual evolution, I mean, you definitely need massive mindset support there. I mean, you definitely need it, and
Yeah,
it
but
does help you to raise up. Absolutely, yeah.
but think about this too. So that's the thing. Come back to the body, because you mentioned now your body's like, now you will listen. The body remembers everything. The body keeps track of everything you have ever felt, experienced, seen, heard, believed, etc. So if we want to go different levels mentally and spiritually, but we're not working in our bodies, it's like you eating junk food for your entire life, and all of a sudden it's like, I'm gonna do a cleanse. How do you think that cleanse is gonna go? You're gonna be sick as a dog, right? So that's the thing with when we're working in our personal journey and spiritual growth. It's not one thing or the other. You have to work simultaneously. And as I mentioned before, your body keeps track of everything, but also emotions and memories that you haven't processed properly, that as human beings we like buried in our body. We're gonna bury, we're never gonna talk about it. You think because it's buried, it's gone. It's not gone, it's there. So there comes a time where your body says, okay, let's make some noise here, because we've been trying to send the signals to this person and this person is looking at me. It's like the red, like the gas light in your car. It comes on and you're like, oh, let me drive just 5 more miles, and let me drive 5 more miles. And all of a sudden your car stops because there's no gas. It was telling you, but you ignore it. So your body sends the same signal. So having pain, being stuck, or all these different things are simply your body telling you, hey, there's some stuff in here you haven't addressed. It's time for you to address it if you want to move forward. And seeing that, instead of, like you were saying, instead of like, oh, why am I here? Poor me. It's be like, thank you so much for bringing this to my awareness, because otherwise I would keep going without noticing that I had this baggage. It's like, I ask my clients, do you want to walk around with a backpack full of rocks everywhere you go? They're like, no. So, okay, it's time to unpack some of those rocks that you've been carrying for 20 years. And some people are so attached to their stories. They become their identity. They say they want this, but their identity is something else. They're afraid of letting go of that. So again, spiritual awakening, yes, for some people happens overnight due to like a major event happening, but it's also a belief everything happens in divine timing. I'm also believe that there are forces at play that are beyond our human comprehension. So for that person, in spontaneous awakening, I guarantee you in the background, there were happening other things that prepare that person for that spiritual awakening, because we never are giving more than we can handle. So when a challenge comes your way, it's like, yes, man, this sucks. This really is hard. But then figure out, instead of concentrating on the problem, figure out like, okay, this came into my life for a reason. How can I overcome this obstacle so I can learn and grow and see this as a stepping stone for the next thing to come? So again, spiritual growth, yes, meditate and do all this stuff, your mindset books and all that, but that's only going to be a portion of the journey if you don't take care of your physical body. Or if you're working on your physical body and you're neglecting the spiritual part of it, it's like having a stool with just 3 legs, or a chair with 3 legs. Something's going to be wobbly, and it's going to be a matter of time before that chair tilts. So that's what you have to, that's my suggestion. That's what helped me. I was only concentrating on healing my pain when I realized, hey, this pain is just simply telling you all these years where you bury this being abused as a child. When I moved to the US, being made fun of, and by the way I spoke, by my accent, being profiled and singled out by the way I look. So all these things created this huge, they fed the critic that says you're not good enough. So until I was able to address those things and stop trying to prove to everybody that I was worth and good enough and start valuing myself, that's when everything changes. So it comes back to, hey, you want to become more spiritual awakened? Take action. You want to become healthier? Take action. Take responsibility. You want to work on your mindset? Take action and be committed to taking that action. So that's in a nutshell, like all the spiritual beings, unless we are meditating in the Himalayas in a cave all day, which is great, but that those people are meditating all day, they're not having the life householder life we have. They're not having to pay mortgage or rent. They're not having to go to work. They're meditating completely in their spiritual awakening because that's their purpose for this life, I guess. They renounce all the material stuff. For us, the average person, the majority of people live in this world, that we came here for a mission and for a purpose and with a reason, we still have to, we're parents, we're somebody's children's, we're spouses, we're partners, we're business owners, we're whatever the title is, we have this fine balance where we're managing real life and also our spiritual development. So it's finding the balance that works for you. Nobody can set that path for you. For you, some people meditate every day for 5 hours, for an hour, 30 minutes, or 5 minutes. That doesn't mean they're less spiritual than somebody that does the opposite. So it's all recognizing that it is all within you, and all you have to say is, I am ready to take the next step.
Yeah, whatever your next step is the key, right? So
right.
Absolutely. Let's tell them again more about your as we're starting to wrap up here. What are those free gifts that you have for them? You mentioned them earlier. Could you tell them your free gifts?
It's a download. It's a PDF called From Limited to Limitless, Find Your Bliss Playbook. And it's just a easy guide. It's questions that they can write, and exercises that they can do to figure out what the limiting beliefs are. So then they can take the next step, whatever that means to you. Because the first thing is recognizing, hey, this is the limiting belief that is happening. And so people don't realize that limiting beliefs might not be even theirs, might be their ancestors, their parents, grandparents. Sometimes those limiting beliefs come from the countries or cities we're in, or from past experiences, right? So that's a free PDF. They can download it at adrikyser.com/free-gifts. And then, and the other takeaways were take the probiotics, morning elixir, exercise. If they want to join my Sacred Movement online studio, I have hundreds of yoga classes, meditation, Pilates that they can access anytime, anywhere, for all body types, all levels. 5 minutes to an hour. It's up to each person what they want to practice. That's innerbeautyyoga.com. It's very affordable. I wanted to make sure to make it accessible to people so they can work on their physical body, their mindset, and spirituality. My yoga classes are different because they're based on positive psychology, NLP, energy work, and then obviously great sequencing, because I believe that sequences are important when maximizing the benefits of your practice. It's not let's throw everything but the kitchen sink in there. There's a reason why I sequence the way I sequence. So that's another tool, resource for them as well. They can access if they want to.
Yeah, and I also see on here, I don't know if you, on here that there's an opportunity for them to meet with you for a soul power breakthrough call as well. So that's another opportunity that is listed here as well in that page. So yeah, and I would definitely take advantage of that, because that's where you can start to take a look at really what is going to help you to break through, and maybe what are the specifics for you, because we talked about the uniqueness of each individual. So that's a really valuable one right there. Adri, as we're wrapping up here, I'm gonna do if you want me to, I'm gonna do a quick energy scan with you soon. Sure. But before we do, actually we could just do it right now. We'll go right into it right now. So all right. So yeah, I'm just gonna share some things that are a couple of things that come through, some messages, and I like to do this with my guests on the show. So let me just tune in for a second, see what wants to come through. Yeah, when I tune into you, for some reason, I'm guided to your back, to the back. And so it's telling me from like the mid back down, and then to the right, it's just telling me like you're going back home. You really are. The energy is deepening into the earth, and it's just maybe just an encouragement. Like, no, you're meant to go. You're getting ready to go back home, is what I'm hearing. So I really just wanted to share that with you. Let's see. I'm also picking up some alien ETs energies. So I just noticed them around, the connections you have with this energy. So they're wanting to, they're benevolent ones. So they're trying to help to support you as part of your cosmic team, or whatever you want to call it, all these different beings. But they're trying to support you. They're wanting they're wanting to attune in your body more, is my feeling. There's frequencies they're trying to bring into your body. So that's one of the things I just meant to let you be aware of, is that there's energies from above, so to speak. That's how we look at it, coming in, that want to come into your body. And part of it is this, the way I'm hearing ET energy. And because there's special attunements, it feels like, that want to happen in your energetic body that would help to even more deeply continue to repair and make even more stronger and wholer, if you want to call it that, in your body. I feel like this wants to come in. And but yeah, you definitely, your signature is definitely with the goddess energy. So that's, I know you bring a lot of that through your retreats. You do. I can feel it. So and the more you can bring that on, the better is the feeling I'm getting. Like the more goddess retreats you do, the better. Like for you especially, and then for the people that are there, of course, especially, of course. But and that you're really helping. I know you work with men too, but I do feel there's something very special with these groups of women that you come together with, and that uh, this is almost like these smaller groups that you're doing it with are representing a collective group of women around the world that are bringing in, this goddess energy into the matrix of energy that we're meant to be sinking into more fully right now. So, so for these quick scans, I just share a few things. So those are a few things I wanted to share with you and tuning into your energy today. So anyway, so that's it.
Thank you. That's awesome. Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Good thing. So, and then everybody, if you want to check out the work that I do, you can just go to yoursacredpurpose.com. Again, you get your make money meditation. People are reporting incredible, things through the meditation, including making more money. So go ahead and take advantage of that free gift. And I also have an energy scan consultation. I tune into people, as you see. So if you want to get support in your process of being a spiritual rock star, you can take advantage of that there. So that's what I have for today. So I'm going to hand it back over to you, Adri. Like, do you have any last things or any last words for the audience today?
Yeah, I wanna share like a little quick story, if that's okay. My son and I, years ago, he's 18 now, so 8 years ago, we went to the Wild Animal Park in San Diego, and he sees this obstacle course, and he's like, "Mom, let's do it." So as we're getting our harness on, the guy there says, "Okay, do you want to do the beginner course or you want to do the intermediate?" And my son's like, "Let's do the intermediate." So he's like grinning from ear to ear. We start doing the course. He's excited. One thing the guide mentioned is like, there's no turning back. Once you start, you have to finish. There's no exit. You have to complete the course. So as we progress through the course, the obstacles are getting harder and harder. So we get to this course. We're about 60 feet up in the air. All we see is trees and bushes and stuff. And in front of us, they're like stepping stones attached to the main rope where the harness is connected. So I got first. And when you step into the scenes are swaying from side to side. I go through the process. I get to the next platform and I turn back. And my son's grin is now tears in his eyes. So he steps in the first stone and he starts shaking and the scene starts swaying from side to side. He's like, "Mom, I cannot do this." So I calm him down. I start coaching him and say, "Hey, take a deep breath, listen to what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah." So we finish the course. When we get to the ground, he goes like, "Mom," he gives me a hug and says, "Thank you so much for believing in me. Without your help, I don't know if I would have been able to finish this course." The thing is that we all face obstacles in our lives. But if you're willing to step out of your comfort zone, if you're willing to work on yourself, if you're willing to try something new, just like me and my son, you can find new levels of comfort, strength, and security you never thought possible. So now is your time to up-level your health, your relationships, and finances. Now is your time to step into your power. Now is your time to become the person you know you're meant to be. So now is your time.
Oh, that's so beautiful. That is so beautiful. It reminds me of someone I just talked to yesterday. She's like, "I think I need to just work on my energy overall." And I'm like, "No, you need to, no, the full deal right now." Because a lot of times we say we're not ready. We need to take other steps first, which sometimes can be true, but maybe, right? That can be true potentially, but often we're just we're just holding something back. We're just holding ourselves back from more of what we could be experiencing right now. So I love that. I love that story. Yeah, aren't we all feeling like we're on that bridge sometime? Like, need someone to say, "No, you can do it. Don't turn back. You can do this."
Yes.
So thank you for sharing that with us. So yes, Adri. So it's been a great pleasure to have you here today. So thanks again for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, everybody listening. Download the PDF, and you can find me in my social media, Adri Kyser, as well. And I'm looking forward to staying connected with all of you.
Yes, yes. And so you keep on tuning in, everybody, and we'll keep on rocking it here at Spiritual Rock Star Podcast. Till the next time, everyone.
You're listening to Spiritual Rockstar Podcast. Stay tuned for our next upcoming new episodes each Wednesday and Saturday. Please be sure to subscribe, rate, and review to help us to serve you best. As a reminder, you can get your free Meditate and Make Money meditation at www.yoursacredpurpose.com to rock your sacred purpose. Goodbye for now, everybody.